Hey everybody, and welcome back to Stuff, where we're back with another interview. Hopefully the audio mixing is better than last time. This time we're on with a very special person, someone who I consider to be a huge figure in the Angry Birds plush community, who has helped to document and find some plush that, well, some people didn't even know existed. So everybody, give a welcome to Maximus Overdrive.
Hey, howdy, hey all. Maximus Overdrive here, the local Angry Bird merchandise historian. Sure, I don't need an introduction unless you don't already know who I am.
If you don't know who this man is, I think that's on you. You already know. But
Indeed.
all right,
Get with the
so
program.
yeah, you are. Come on, what are you doing? You're slacking out here. But anyway, Max, how are you today, man?
I'm doing just fine, It's been my first 2 weeks of university just went by, getting acclimated to that again. But otherwise, same old, working on projects for the YouTube channel, doing the bits and bobs here and there. Got some exciting stuff coming up.
Nice. Actually, yeah, I was. I'm gonna move on to that later, but you did literally like in the days leading up to us recording this, you started teasing another video or like a reveal of
Indeed.
some kind, and I was just like,
Indeed.
God. Well, actually, no, it's perfect timing because I can pester you about that, but. I was gonna ask you to introduce yourself to people that know you, but honestly, if you don't know who Max is, like you're slacking at this point. Come on, man.
Hey, we're all on the internet. Just look up Maximus Overdrive on YouTube. Should come right up. If you're into Angry Bird merchandise and the history all about it, I mean, I'm your guy.
Yeah, literally, he's basically the wiki at this point. But okay, I have a list here, so I'm just gonna try and go down it. But and once we get further down the list, if you just can't like legally speaking, I mean, you just can't answer the question. That's completely fine. I
I'll
completely
do my
understand
best
it, but
to I'll do my best to answer every last question to the best of my ability.
yeah, no, all good.
What I've been tasked to do. Right.
All right, this is just a personal question of mine because on the back of your TV, whenever you do like an unboxing or a video where you're just showing up, you see like I think it's Angry Birds Star Wars 2 or like Trilogy in the background. I just want to know how often you actually play like the Angry Birds games because I know you love the
Yeah, so
merchandise, but
the Angry Bird games in general. So I typically, I mean, if it, usually at this point, I play on PC, just like people's mods and stuff like that. I always like to see what people are up to. I mean, Angry Birds Refresh has been a new project that's come about recently. That's super cool. That's fun to play every week. But regarding Trilogy and Star Wars specifically on console, I mean, probably a few years ago, I was, I was playing the game over, just trying to get a save on like my hard drive for on my Xbox 360 and stuff like that. But I don't play it too often unless I need footage for a video specifically. I'll typically hop back on there if I need just background footage of just a level on like poached eggs or something like that, or a level on the Death Star for a Star Wars video or something like that. But typically that's the only reason why I'll ever revisit trilogy or Star Wars for console.
yeah, I get that. I usually just, I mean, like for instance, I used to do a lot of PvZ content. I almost only hop on like the games for background footage at this point, or to just play with some friends. So
Indeed. And we've all experienced all these things before, It's a shame that, the developers themselves aren't coming out with anything too interesting these days that can keep us occupied, but luckily the community picks up for their slack, right?
yeah, I really hope what happened to what could have been doesn't happen to any Angry Birds fan project because I think that would honestly suck. Do you know about that whole situation? Did you hear?
I've heard a little bit here and there, but I don't know. It's all pretty unfortunate what goes
Yeah,
on with fan projects these days.
yeah,
Can't
it's
just let them be.
yeah,
But then again, it is a bunch of legal jargon that, you know, I guess it has to be that way. If if these corporations want to cash in every dollar they can,
yeah,
legally speaking, they have the ability to.
yeah. It's a little bit disappointing on some ends, but it is what it is at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, Another just question of mine is, I know you have like those stock photos that you take from every angle of like the plush that you get on, I don't, it's just on a white background. Is that the same camera that you use to record everything else, or is it like a special camera for like that specifically?
It's the same camera I use to record everything else. I believe it's a Canon R50. I have a 24 to 70 millimeter adjustable lens on that. I used to use an iPhone back when I was first doing YouTube videos. I think it was an iPhone SE back in 2018. Around more 2020, it was an iPhone 12 mini, which I still use, but not for videos anymore. But at some point, someone told me, hey, maybe you should consider using an actual camera in order to do these videos. Now, the only problem with that is, I mean, is this camera that I use, it probably put me in debt about $2,000 when accounting for the camera itself and the lens. But I'm pretty happy with the way things have turned out, and gives me the ability to take really cool shots with the white background, and I think enhanced the video quality significantly
Yeah,
once
I
I'm done with it.
mean, the videos look great, especially just like even just the turntable footage is just so, the picture quality is just so great at this
Mhm.
point. It's great. Like being honest, I think it was the right decision to buy the camera. I'm not gonna lie. Eventually, I'm gonna get one, but I am still stuck to the ways of the phone at the moment. I'm
It's
moving on
convenient though.
PC.
I mean, the phone cameras are so good these days. The whole reason I was sticking with the phone in the first place was just because I thought it did look really good, and the picture quality is really good. The cameras, these phone cameras, they can do 4K 60 these days, and that's the standard I try and do in my videos. So, but I just feel like the camera, just there's so much more flexibility with the camera, so much more you can do. You can be a lot more creative with the shots that you do, bring out the colors, hide the backgrounds a bit with turning up the aperture and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, I get it, but
Yeah,
I mean, basically, half of
yeah, it's
iPhone's
expensive.
stuff is
That's
like,
the only problem.
yeah, it's expensive, but
And
half of like
yeah,
iPhone
and it
stuff
takes
is,
forever. I mean, if I were just using my phone to do the videos, I mean, they would probably literally take half the time to make. I mean, usually a video turnaround at this point for me is getting to be in that 3 to 4 month range. I mean, if I do like a 10-minute video, maybe I can finish it in a month, but this next project I got coming up has been in the works for over 2 years, and
God,
that's partly because I've been using the camera I got in order to do a lot of the shots. Just it's more difficult, but as long as you nail the shots, it brings out a little bit more in the video. And most
I
people I won't even care because they're just watching on their phone screen anyways. But those watching on like on TV or on maybe on their desktop or something like that, they'll see it.
yeah, no,
And it
I get
future
it.
proof stuff too. Yeah.
I mean, up in the quality, 2 years you've been working on. Is this the one that's releasing in December?
Yes, indeed.
Damn.
It'll be exciting.
Yeah, I bet it will be
More news to
interesting.
come on that one. Yeah.
Here we go into the questions that I think you're probably not going to be able to answer. Did write these a while ago, but this one is just like, is there a kind of like step by step process to where you go about like receiving or finding like the samples and then getting them back to your, uh, I guess just home, I guess, but
Yeah,
and if
so
there
I can
is,
talk about this process because I feel like it's important for people to know this, because a lot of people just assume that I get the stuff somehow, some way, and I'm flipping it all, and I cash in on everything I sell. That
yeah,
it couldn't
I
be further
know.
from the truth.
Yeah, I know you talked
So
about it slightly in the comment section of someone who reviewed the like
yeah,
Tony
so
plush, but I don't
I'll
know if
try and
people
explain it to the
see
best
that
of my
very much.
ability. Yeah. So when I first got into collaboration with Commonwealth, I met up with some of the guys who work there, talked to them, and they eventually said, hey, we got this warehouse up here full of all these products that, we've been talking about here. It'd be super awesome if you could come up and go check it all out, and we could figure out something from there as to how maybe we can sell some of this stuff because, frankly, we don't want to hold on to it anymore. So eventually, you get the cheapest plane ticket you can up to New York. You try and get the cheapest lodging that you can, and you go to this warehouse and you spend about a day or two, maybe in three in some cases, um, just fishing around all these boxes. It's just a warehouse, you know absolutely filled to the brim with boxes. boxes stacked one on top of the other. It's all organized up through all the different brands that Commonwealth has worked with over the years. And in the case of Angry Birds, there's this one huge section right up front. All the boxes are all labeled, stacked on top of each other, and you just go through each box one by one. You open them up, you take a few items out, you put them in another box, you put that one off to the side, and from there, at the end of the day, once you're done fishing through all the items in the warehouse, you go over to the nearest FedEx location and tell them my home address and get it all shipped to me. Put it all in the bill for Commonwealth. They're responsible for paying for all of it because at the end of the day, it all pays for itself eventually. We're going to make that shipping cost back and much more through some of the items that we sell.
Yeah.
Then eventually, 3 to 4 days later, they show up at my doorstep and bring them all inside, open up all the boxes, air them all out. There is a bit of a musty smell to some of the items when you're down in the warehouse. It's not exactly the cleanest place in the world, but certainly the items are well protected. They're all inside plastic bags and very firm boxes. Some of the items here and there, you might see minor stains. I mean, we've seen a couple with mold here and there, but those items we're trying not to sell, and if we do, they're at a steep discount. But
Yeah.
that's pretty rare. But generally, that's how it works. And at some point, I go through the boxes. It's probably 3 months probably after I get them when I can probably make time to actually fish through them all and take all the photos and set up all the unboxings I do on my channel. I mean, that's a huge undertaking, but frankly, for the prices that the items sell for, I mean, that's just what the market demand is. It's worth all of our time to do it. We were thinking at first that maybe it wouldn't be worth it to sell all this stuff because it's too much going on. There's too much upfront cost. Me flying up there, shipping all the items back to me. Just the time we have to take in order to fish through all these items. But when the items are getting into the hands of the people who bought them, they're super happy with them despite the cost in some of them. And Frank,
Yeah.
I can't help the price of the items. I mean, that's just what they're selling for. If people are going to pay that, that's what we're going to charge for them. And
Yeah,
at
that
some point, we
is.
have to charge quite a bit because we have to justify the cost that we're putting into it ourselves. But it's been super successful so far, and I couldn't be happier with the way things have turned out.
Yeah, honestly, I think I've seen a lot of people think who I don't know they don't understand the situation, and I hope this. I'll probably clip this and like put it in a shorter sum just so people can just watch this section so they can get a more in-depth idea of how it is. Because I see a lot of people accuse you of like, you get to go to the Commonwealth factory, you grab whatever samples you want, you scalp these people for hundreds and thousands of dollars, but like it's a lot more than that. You have to think of the cost on yours and Commonwealth's end of it. Like,
I mean, frankly, I get a percentage cut of whatever I sell, so it's in my best interest to sell the items for as much as I can, of course, because ultimately what they sell for, I get like 20% of whatever I sell, there and about. So it obviously benefits me to sell them for as much as I can, but I mean, whatever I get, certainly I would probably be making more based on the amount of time I'm putting into this, working some normal job. But because I'm so into this stuff, I enjoy doing it. I'm okay with doing it. And Commonwealth, what they do with the money that they get, they put that right back into the business. It's not like it's just going into some person's bank account and they're going out and, buying some toy like a jet ski or some brand new car or something like that that they probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise. It's going right back into the salaries of the people who are employed by Commonwealth and into new products that they're working on with other brands and stuff like that. Toy Fair, that's a huge undertaking every year, which is actually going away soon, but that's a story for another day.
actually,
Uh, yeah, I mean, Toy Fair, uh, it's always been held in New York. I think it's probably been, I don't know if it's been 100 years, but it's been forever that it's been in New York. They're taking it on the road soon, as I've heard. Uh, but we'll see how that goes.
damn, that's okay. Is this like public knowledge? Like, do other people know about this
Yeah, I
or?
think there's rumors out there about Toy Fair. It just I'm not sure what the logistics of it are. They've held it in this one convention center in kind of what is it, Eastern Manhattan, um, either Eastern or Western Manhattan, I forget. Uh, but not exactly sure the logistics of all of it. But what they want to do, and it's probably a money saving venture, no matter what way you look at it. But they want to just bring it to other states in the country, other facilities, Uh, just because I mean the toy industry at this point, it's not in everyone's best interest to be still be working in the toy industry. Let's just say that
Yeah.
uh, the way things are going more towards tech. That's been the trend ever since, the iPhone and all these gaming consoles came into the scene, 10, 20, 30 years ago, really. Angry Birds was kind of a golden era where you had both interest in games and interest in merchandise, and you still see that to some extent nowadays, but it's definitely not as big as it used to be.
Yeah. I mean, like you'll get the occasional game, and then they'll release like merchandise of it. But honestly, the most of the time, you just end up seeing that just litter the store shelf. No one's buying it. I
Yeah, the only toys that are really selling nowadays, and I saw this when I went to Toy Fair. Every single one of these toy companies, they are doing the Squishmallow trend. Those are
Oh.
the plush toys that are selling. Plush are the easiest toys to make. It's much harder to do an action figure per se. Those are just more complicated molds. Plush is really easy. That's why you see most toy companies they kind of specialize in plush toys rather than plastic action figures and stuff like that. But Toy Fair, there's just clones of Squishmallows everywhere. Half the time you're looking at these items and you're asking yourself, is that not a Squishmallow? So it's crazy. And then
Yeah.
some video game merch, sells, but by and large, toys are kind of on the outs. It's a shame, but what are you gonna do? It's the next generation, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I collect what these like for instance, I love Minecraft merchandise. I barely play the game, but I love the merchandise and the plush that they made. And I've been waiting on them to make they have an action figure series called the Diamond Level series. It's an amazing figure series and figure line. It's like crazy detailed, but it takes them so long to get out. Like it takes them like 8 months between figures, like at least. But for plush lines, you'll see like companies like Funko, they'll release a plush line of the same game like 4 months apart, and it's just like how.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's probably about half the time for a turnaround for a plush toy as compared to an action figure. So that's why you're going to see more plush out in the market than action figures. And frankly, you can probably sell them at a similar price point.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the quality of them. I
Yeah,
think the I think just overall all the like toy stuff, especially plush in recent years with people like with companies like I forget who does most of the YouTubers push, but it's more of like makeshift and YouTubes with their whole. I mean, they literally made Angry Birds merchandise not too long ago, but
correct. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's moving. Everything's going more digital, so a lot of people are going to start getting their plush online and stuff, which allows them to make them better quality, but they end up selling for more. So,
Yeah. Heaven forbid we start seeing Angry Bird plush NFTs. Let's just say.
wait, oh yeah, there is. They might. I think there might be. I'm not sure if they're going to show up in stores, but I did see there was that new wave of like six AB plush. I think they're releasing this year and next year to
Like the
commemorate.
Posh Paws ones.
Yeah, I think that was it. It's like the pig, red, Chuck,
They're
bomb.
kind of like the Toon Slingshot story style.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Really
like
moving
that.
as well with like those Squishmallow looking ones.
Squish.
Yeah, I've heard those are going to be UK exclusive. I'm not entirely sure. I know the toy company that's doing them is British, um, but we'll see how that goes.
Damn. I was actually. It was funny. I was gonna tell you this a minute ago, but you actually, when you were telling me the whole step-by-step process, I think you answered like two more questions I had about it. So good on you.
That's good. There we go.
Yeah, it's
Killing
good.
three birds with one stone.
Yep. uh, anyway, I got. There's the voice crack. I knew it was gonna happen. It's over.
And
Review the
it
whole
all
recording.
happens. It happens to me all the time. I'm 20 and it's still a problem. It's never
Yeah,
going to go away.
I know. But here's a little like more personal thing. Like out of just all of the like just samples, prototypes, anything you've gotten out of the inventory, what would you say is your like favorite one that you've ever picked out?
Hmm. I mean, it's a deep question. There's certainly plushies that I feel more of an attachment to just because they kind of reflect my own, I guess, persona to some extent, which is why I think the Nerdy Birdie is one of my favorites. And frankly, that's partly because the story behind it is really crazy. How they actually made a plush as an April Fool's joke, but they actually physically produced it and they made a few samples of it. It's kind of wild. But the character as well, I I think it more was my personality trait probably like 5, 6 years ago, something like that when I was in high school. But I always tried to be the top student in every class I went. I mean, I wasn't trying to be the teacher's pet. I would just put my head down, do my work, be the best student I could possibly be. And I think that's sort of the embodiment of a nerd to some extent. You don't want to be like that snobby type nerd, but I think it's really cool that there's this whole line of merchandise out there: t-shirts, wristbands, hats, iron-on patches, and of course the plush that are based on this one oddly specific render of Red wearing nerd glasses and a bow tie. That is just so niche and so peculiar to me, and I think the plush is just the coolest part
Yeah,
of that merchandise line.
it's just it. You're right. It's
It's a
just niche.
boring
It's
plush,
funny.
frankly.
Yeah,
It's just a red plush with glasses and a bow tie, but I happen to like it. There's some others too, like the sombrero king pig is super cool. That was an iconic plush for the longest time. Really, the ones that fascinate me the most, and like I said with the nerdy birdie, are the ones that have this long lore, this long history of they're just completely infamous within the plush community because we knew about them from Toy Fair pictures or um, I was just seeing things on toywiz.com at New York Toy Fair, with background of Rovio HQ, uh, Commonwealth HQ picks. We have a few of those here and there, but those plushies that we knew about for, frankly, probably a decade, and then actually seeing them in person, it's just the coolest thing in the world.
yeah.
Dream come true.
I get that. I mean, for instance, and this is going to lead to it. I'll just ask this question now, but I am going to go back to the sample debacle in a second. I own a Minecraft plush that literally just doesn't exist outside of the original listing, but you can tell by the way that it's made and the fact that there's semblance of a tag. It was either meant to be or was going it was either meant to be or was very early going to be a part of like a later set, one of the company's last. And um yeah, I completely understand. Like, it's so stupid and niche. It's just like your favorite thing ever. Because the plush I'm talking about right now is from a Minecraft spin-off. It's not even from the original game. But
Exactly. The more niche it is, I mean, the more you can feel personally attached to it, especially if it's one of these things that probably you're one of the few people who really cares about it, and that can just kind of can kind of become your thing. If you're into something that everyone else is into, what fun is that? Get your own character.
yeah, but I was actually I'll ask you in a minute. But another, I want to take a guess at this before you actually answer this question though. Is what the most unexpected item you found in storage is, and I want to guess that it is the mighty dragon, but I don't know if I'm correct about that.
So, the Mighty Dragon, it's certainly up there. Um, So when I first at the first time I saw the Mighty Dragon, so one of the guys who works at Commonwealth, he sent me a photo. There was a few videos here and there, but of the storage room. The first time I ever saw it. Uh, at the end of the line of Angry Bird boxes, so all these boxes, most of them are just labeled with marker. They'll have CWT, then some sort of number. They have this handbook that shows you what is inside each box corresponding to that number. Some of the boxes, though, are special. They have black and white photos taped to the front of them showing you what's inside. And at the end of this long line of Angry Bird boxes, around where the Mighty Eagle plushies were being kept, I saw it, the Mighty Dragon. I could, I could barely make it out because the picture was so grainy and black and white, everything kind of blended together. But I saw the eyes, I saw the head. It was distinctly Mighty Dragon, and that is a sign of a really good plush. You can tell even in a bad photo that yes, this is that. I know exactly what that is. And it's an amazing sample, and it's incredible that they actually made it. And it's got a really interesting story because they never showed it to Rovio. They just made it because they saw it in the game. They probably had someone whose job it was to identify characters that they could potentially produce. And heck, when that season's update came around and they saw, hey, look, a new mighty creature, let's go ahead and make that. and they actually made it perfect on their first shot. It's such an incredible plush, and
I
what
mean,
a sight
what?
to behold.
There's
But
like how many? It's is it? There's two or three of them. I can't remember if there's.
there are three of them. Each one
Yeah,
is unique in some way.
yeah.
There's
They're
the
all
giant
they
one,
get progressively smaller, right?
yeah,
And then the big
medium
one is
one,
like
and the small
curled.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
the most surprising plush to me that I found, I mean, as I later learned, because I didn't see it at first, when I was opening up the boxes with the Angry Birds Go plushies, inside that box were the what people now call the Fun Video TV set. Those
oh,
little tiny birds that look very peculiar sitting on those weird vehicles. The UFO, which people call the Kiwi bird. You have the blue and the Chuck. Those, to me, learning about how they resemble fun video TV characters from the infamous YouTube series, of course, the YouTube channel. Uh, I can't believe those exist. Who in their right mind looked at a web series and thought, yes, this is what we need to make plush of? And they actually exist. It wasn't just a concept. They told the factory, some person in China made those, and they got shipped back to America somehow. And no one said, "Hey, those are not official at all, not even close." So that's completely bizarre. Those, to me, are the most bizarre plushies that we found. But the dragon is certainly up there too.
oh yeah. I mean, I just imagine there's like a misconstruction on one end, like the guys going through like the trailers on the official Angry Birds channel on like a incognito account, and then they see that and they recommend. They're just like, oh, this must be a part of it. And they
Exactly.
see all
Yeah.
those new characters.
I mean, YouTube at the time. I mean, a lot of people weren't even familiar with how the platform worked. Probably 2011, 2012, around that time. So, frankly, they probably thought it was an official animation. Exactly.
I mean, yeah, I should have guessed that. I completely forgot about those. I just spaced those out.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, like I said with the Mighty Dragon, they were looking to do anything they could around 2011, 2012, anything that was remotely official, or heck, and obviously in that case, official or not, they were looking to make a
Official
sample of
adjacent.
it. They they knew the value of the Angry Birds franchise. They knew these toys were going to sell no matter what they put out. And they could do any character they wanted to. Stores were eating it up. It was such an amazing time, and frankly, I wish I was born probably 10 years earlier, so maybe I could have potentially been a part of it, but I'm not sure my life path would have brought me to where I am today if that were the case. You can never go back and change things in that way, but I just wish I could have been a part of it. And hopefully, I'm trying to work behind the scenes to, maybe get the Angry Birds license rekindled with Commonwealth, but that's an uphill process. And
Yeah, I got it. I mean,
you know,
for instance, the company I was talking about earlier that made that plush that I have, they literally went out of business. So,
yeah,
I mean, just the opportunity that you have there, like you, even if it's an uphill battle, like just the ability to possibly rekindle that and be able to relive the experiences that you couldn't because you were too young at the time. It's
exactly.
yeah. I mean,
It's perfect. I couldn't be any more blessed to have this opportunity. So
yeah, man, I'd do anything to get Jinx that license back. Mattel's kind of selling the bag at the moment, but
uh yeah.
here's I don't know. I mean, maybe in how do I phrase this? But because I know you might not be able to answer, or you probably don't even have a conclusive like answer to it. But it's like, do you expect there to be like a significant or like a small amount of future unfound samples to be discovered in the future? Like, how many do you think you have left that you haven't documented before?
I would anticipate quite a few are still out there to be found. Some of them I know of already. Some of them I know of their existence, but I have never seen a photo. For instance, in a video I have coming up, I will be discussing a certain plush by the name of Slash,
Oh,
the Slash Angry Bird from Angry Birds Space. There is supposedly a sample, or rather a celebrity one-off gift plush that was supposed to be given to Slash himself uh, but no one knows where it is. I was told it was with a former Commonwealth employee. I contacted the guy, and the guy said, "Hey, I don't have it," and no one seems to have a photo of it anywhere. A lot of these samples, I have this hard drive that's got factory pictures all over it, and these factory photos, a lot of them I haven't shown yet. Just waiting for the opportunity to do that, and dedicated videos to those items, of course. And at least I can see what the item was gonna look like. For some of these items, I just have the name, and it's word of mouth. Heck, I don't even know. Some of these people's recollection might be false. I mean, they might be remembering, oh, we looked at that, but we didn't actually make it. But they're telling me they did make it. It's been 12 years, 12, 13 years since they did a lot of this stuff, and frankly, there aren't many people around who working with the company back then, and the people who were around, maybe their memory isn't, exactly 100% perfect. So only so much you can do, but I would anticipate some things being found because not all of it's in storage. I mean, some of it is probably just sitting in someone's house right now that used to work for Commonwealth or currently does, and they just need to fish it out for me.
You need to finish this. It's for documentation,
Yes,
for
of
the good of
course.
the people.
Complete documentation.
Actually,
That's what we do.
yeah,
We don't stop until everything is found.
everything. No plush goes unfound in this day and age. But oh, here's something from when you mentioned earlier that there's just like an entire just like warehouse, and the Angry Birds boxes are up front. Like, if you had to put a percentage on it, how many of those boxes do you think you've actually like gone through, emptied out the good ones, and like taken out? Like, how much do you think is left?
Yeah, well, so of the Angry Birds stuff, I've been through all the boxes. Now, not everything has been pulled out, but I made sure to prioritize the best items that were in there. Get all those out because who knows what's going to happen down there. It's not like I'm afraid of mold creeping up or anything like that, but it's just get the stuff out because I'm not sure when I'll ever be back. Because heck, this could end at any time. I mean, frankly, I got my career coming up. I mean, I got internships coming up in the next year or two, and from there, I mean, I'm not sure I'm gonna ever have time to do any of this stuff. So just get the coolest stuff out onto the market, into the hands of the people who want them, and then the rest of it will sort itself out from there. But of the Angry Bird stuff, I've probably picked up about 40 to 50% of what's in there. But that's actually that percentage is based on the size of the items. I've sold a lot of the smallest stuff. Frankly, there's a lot of large items in there that wouldn't be very convenient for me to ship from up there down here. I see that's up in New
Yeah,
York. I live in Florida. It'd be difficult to ship a 16-inch plush, and heck, if we have 50 16-inch plushes, first of all, it's going to cost a fortune to ship to me, and second of all,
yeah,
where the heck am I keeping all that stuff? So it's easier if I take photos up there, and then we put those items up for pre-order, and eventually, if someone is around the warehouse, they can pick up those items and go ship them out for me. Um, so in terms of sheer size, there's probably about 50 to 60% left up there because these items are so huge. We're talking Mighty Eagles, we're talking Wave 2, Star Wars jumbos, few classic jumbos here and there, stuff like that.
yeah. All right. No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, yeah, it must cost like probably as much as the plush sold for retail to ship it down for you, because
Exactly. Yeah,
it's
that
across
costs
the
like
country.
24, $25, something like that. And a lot of people don't even collect jumbo. It's a harder size of toy to sell. A lot of
Yeah,
people collect 5-inch, 8-inch backpack clips because that's just more manageable. A lot of people like jumbos, and especially as specific characters. Maybe you want a jumbo inflated Bubbles or a jumbo Terrence
uh,
because you think that's more size accurate. But
yeah.
it's harder to
And
sell, yeah, say for instance, like a jumbo blue or something like that. That seems
yeah,
just a bit
yeah.
random.
Nobody wants like a jumbo, uh, just Stella standing in the corner of their room. It's just,
Yeah.
it's not even gonna do it.
It-
If actually, point something out you said at the beginning of that sentence. You said, you're going into your actual career and your internship. So do you have like a time limit on how much you genuinely think this deal might be able to last longer, or do you just not
I'm
like?
gonna try and wring as much out as I can from this. I mean, I would love to just have it as a side hustle, and, in my main line of work, but I'm not entirely sure what that looks like going forward. So,
I mean,
like I said, I'm just trying to get the best stuff out there quickly as I can, um, to the best of my ability, and I think the rest of it will just work out from there. And frankly, if we can't, if I never get to the rest of it, it will make its way out somehow, some way,
you
because
know,
storage unit, everything in there, frankly, it just needs to go. There's Obviously there's certainly more than just Angry Birds in there, but a huge percentage of it is Angry Birds. Since I mean that was the biggest brand that Commonwealth ever worked with, and obviously they're gonna have a huge stash of the biggest brand they ever worked with. But there's plenty of other stuff down there that heck, it might not even be worth anything. I put a few items up here and there just to test the waters on maybe say some pillow pet samples or I
yeah.
just
I
paper
mean,
towns, pillows, and stuff like that. It just doesn't move. There's no market for that kind of stuff. So I don't know what happens to that kind of stuff. Do you throw it out? I would certainly hope not. You
yeah,
want to get into the hands of someone who would want it, preserve the stuff, but at some point, no one wants it. If no one wants to pay $10 for a one of a kind sample, well, what other opportunity is out there? But regarding the Angry Bird stuff that I might never get to, I mean, I'm sure that'll take care of itself. All the Angry Bird items will find their way into the hands of somebody. I will make sure of that.
I mean, as let me know if you ever need to pass the torch, man. I'm up in Michigan. I can get better deals on that shipping. You
And
know what I
trust
mean?
me, I mean, that might happen. I mean, I don't even say that jokingly. I would probably need someone eventually to carry to carry on the torch, like you said. So
Yeah, man. I
figure
mean,
that.
just hit me up if you actually do need it. I probably can. I probably can just take it up. It'll. I do
It's best.
actually have a
We
friend
need
in New York
someone.
too, so he can probably
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hit up
We
the
need someone
factory
in
for
New
me.
York.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a bud who actually he wanted to be here with with you to interview you, but I wasn't sure he'd be up at this time. I talked about him to him and he didn't really say anything. So, but
Mm,
he's up in New York. He's got a YouTube channel. He's like 1.5K. He's a PVZ YouTuber. But
yep.
yeah, I mean, just hey, let me know. I can get you with him if you really are interested in passing it on. You want someone with a
Of
little more
course, I
experience
appreciate
in
it.
the plush community. I was actually here's a question because I'm about to move on to just like my last two questions about more of like your channel than this stuff. So I guess we'll start out with this because it's a kind of mixture of the two. Uh, and I'll stick in the fan question that I have here. I only got one, but uh, so you've talked slightly about in the videos that I've seen, like how you care for the plush. I know you like dust them off and you have them on your shelf. Would you ever consider like making like some kind of guide for people who also collect AB merchandise samples and stuff so that they can keep their plush in pristine condition like you do with yours?
Yeah, I mean, I would I'm all for people preserving their items, of course. I want to see everyone's plushies be preserved in the best condition possible. That's why I get so angry when people take off the tags and stuff like that. Keep it as mint as possible. And another part of that is obviously taking care of the plushies while they're on display and stuff like that, because dust is a natural part of collecting stuff. Just this morning, right before we're doing this interview here, I spent probably 3 hours dusting off all my shelves. It's a whole process. I have a crap load of plushies.
Mm,
Um, there's a bunch of space where they occupy. I'm still frankly not done. I have other places that I want to touch up here and there, but I would totally be open to doing a video where I go through and tell people how exactly I do things. But the only thing is, I, what I do isn't particularly special. I take a rag and dust down. I just dust down the shelves. That's frankly it. You take a rag to the few of the plushies, you gently wipe them down in case there's any residue dust on them and stuff like that, and you just do it pretty often. I mean, the key is you don't let it go on for too long. If you're only dusting once a year or biannually or something like that, I mean, that's just not going to work. The dust is going to accumulate, especially if you have a flat surface where it's going to build up. If you have shaggy carpet, I mean, the best thing to do is get rid of the carpet. I mean, that's going to take care of a lot of the issues. But at some point, you need uh, better prevention than even that. Get glass cases, put stuff in there, and acrylic cases, anything that you can do to try and preserve the items. Me, I have so much. I mean, I would love to have everything in some kind of concealed plastic bag or uh, acrylic case, but the plastic bags wouldn't look very good, and the acrylic case would cost a lot of money, and it would take up a lot of space.
No.
That's why I collect
Yeah, I
five
get
inch
that.
because I just want an example of everything, but you can't have an example of everything in 8 inch or 12 inch. I mean, I just don't have the space for that.
No, yeah,
One human cannot
that's
possibly
actually
have that much unless they have a huge mansion or something like that, or a dedicated museum. Which the museum part, let's talk about that some other day.
no, dude. I'm actually that's something I have in works like down the line. I am eventually like not a physical museum. I mean, but like that is my plan eventually. Endgame for if I get the channel to grow enough to where I can get enough support, I think Endgame I do want to make like an actual like museum. Maybe it's like a website or something, just so to document everything. Just because
Of
I think
course.
that is I and being completely honest, I was inspired by you to do it because before like watching your stuff and talking with some of my other friends in the PVZ plush community, I never really saw it as more of a collection thing. I just saw it as, I'm collecting the character. I'm not collecting the actual merchandise. But now with you, I mean, I own some of your samples. I own really rare products for other plush stuff that I own, and I keep them, preserved in cases now because I understand now the like importance of that, especially with my Space Eagle that I got from.
Yeah. I mean, not only are you preserving the item itself, but you're preserving the history, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
and then I also bought the pig slippers, but that was more for a bit.
it's a good bit, frankly.
It is,
Well,
it
those
is,
things
it's a
are
great
great.
bit.
I know we do have some other slippers that may be coming down the line eventually. Um,
I've been,
with some of the
I'm not
birds.
gonna lie, I've been on the fence about the red ones, but oh, and I didn't say it. While you were on the topic of talking about collecting bigger sizes, I actually do have a fan question from Cross-Eyed Crab. I believe they're Turkish something on YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your name, but they did ask like if you did get enough space, would you collect the 8 inch plush?
So yeah, I mean, if I had infinite real estate, infinite space, I would totally try and collect each and every size variation. I would love an example of every single toy that Commonwealth made. Frankly, if I could get rid of all Angry Bird merchandise and just keep the Commonwealth stuff, I would. And frankly, that might happen one day because, I mean, some of this stuff, it just sits in my closet. It's all well organized and all that. It's well kept. I maintain it all. Some of like the Mattel sets and the Kinect games and some of the bits and bobs like soda cans but I mean, frankly, Commonwealth is my first love and it's my only love, if I'm really being honest. So I think if I was going to keep anything, it would just be those, and I'd want an example of every single piece possible.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Just if you have like a vacuum, just you got curvy mouth and you just can put everything in there. You just got infinite space.
Yes, if I think I think if there was one size I really did want to collect, the jumbos really fascinate me. They're just a super cool variant of the items, but they just take up so much space, but they look so good. They're they in hand they feel way higher quality than any of the other size variations. The 8 inch ones in the retail platforms too, in the boxes people call them. Those look really good too. Those would be something I'd love to collect, but it's just it'd be starting my plush collection journey from scratch again, and I'm not sure I'm up for that. It's taken me, 15 years to get to where I'm at today, so let's not go down that path.
No, yeah, I get that. Oh, here's just a quickie, and this is just me asking because I didn't think to ask and put on the question. Do you think there is any chance? I know it's a sample, but is there any chance that there is a jumbo Space Eagle, like the size of the 24 inch? Is it 20 or 24-inch regular Eagle?
So what they call it the Mighty Eagle is a very interesting plush because they didn't exactly know what size to call it because there's so many different ways you can measure it. Heck, they didn't even know what size to make it when they were
Yeah.
first sampling the item. So at some point, they might call it an 18 inch. At some point, they might call it a 24 inch. At some point, they might call it a 28 inch. They don't even know what size it is. So I think it's fair for us to say it's just the Mighty Eagle. It's the big
Yeah.
jumbo eagle.
Mm.
But as for the existence of a jumbo space eagle, heck, I want there to be one so bad, but I haven't seen evidence of an item like that existing.
Darn.
Frankly, I mean, if there was, heck, I'd get rid of my 12-inch Space Eagle and I'd instantly trade that in for the 16-inch or
Yeah,
18-inch or 28-inch or whatever you want to call it, right?
yeah. The
Um,
second
Not
I
sure where
saw
I'd put it since I already have the twin towers of the classic Mighty Eagle and the Mighty
Mighty
Dragon,
Dragon.
but yeah, we figure that out, right?
Yeah, I mean, literally the second I saw it, because as soon as I found your channel, like days after that, you released the like it was the Black Friday unboxing with all the
Yeah.
that shit. Dude, I literally like freaked out when I saw the Space Eagle. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
So,
just
I alluded to earlier, if Commonwealth were to ever get the license back, what you could do is you could go kind of, if there's a reason for the factory to actually make toys in mass again. Let's say like how they did with the Mighty Mojo
I
set.
think
Commonwealth made those for Mighty Mojo. Say you make 8,000 reds. Behind the scenes, you can make a one-off jumbo space eagle. No one's
mhm,
ever gonna know, and it's not like it's
it's
illegal.
like
You
the
have
Mighty
the
Dragon.
license for it, so it's just an item that you make, and it's your property if you make it. So
Yeah,
it is
I
what it
mean
is, but that would
they got
require the
at this
license
point.
coming back, and the odds of that are not very high because, I mean, why would Commonwealth want to work with Angry Birds at this point? I mean, if they wanted to do a run like Mighty Mojo did, sure, but Mighty Mojo already beat them to the punch. Sure, that could have been done better. I think just offering 8-inch toys with no sound and very limited characters. I mean, I'm not sure that's what collectors are
Yeah,
totally
I
into, but
mean
I'm not sure those were made for collectors. Those were made for, let's just
they're
say it,
made
the
for
kiddos.
Amazon sales for kids
Yeah.
who find the franchise and they're just like, oh, hey, buy
Yep, cheap alternative to eBay.
yeah. It's I mean, hell,
That's
I
cool they
bought
did it.
yeah.
So,
It's an easy way to get like say you're going for like a more size accurate for like maybe like honestly either game. I think Foreman from their set is like really nice for that because
yeah.
it's not even like an 8-inch or a 10-inch. It's just a 7-inch blush. It's slightly shorter, and also their Mighty Eagle just great mostly because it's a lot easier to
Yeah.
store. I've been meaning to buy
Frankly,
one.
all the plushies in the set are fantastic. I think if just on their own, they're higher quality than the original run of Commonwealth, back from 2010 to 2015, if I want to say it 2018 or so. They made them well into 2018 for some plushies, but uh, the Mighty Mojo plushies are super high quality. They use a newer boa fur material because the old supplier just doesn't exist anymore. It's been so long. So and they're better stuff than they used to be. I just wish they had sound and had a cool retail platform box that they came in like the old ones. But man,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
yeah. I
It's what
mean,
Rovio wanted. Rovio wanted those characters. Rovio wanted them to be 8-inch. Rovio didn't want them to have sound. So that's what we got.
yeah. Huh. All right. I think I have like two more, I believe, and then I think you're off the hook. You don't gotta be sitting here slouching, answering questions anymore. But
This has been fun. No, this is awesome.
no, yeah, this has been great for me, honestly. Like that is the most fun part about doing interviews. Like I interviewed another person who I thought was cool. It was PVZ Luke. He's an old PVZ Plushtuber. He does more gaming content now, but I interviewed him a couple months back, and they're actually a lot more fun. Like for anyone who does want to interview people and's watching this, uh, it's a lot less scary than you think. I literally just DM Max like maybe less than a week ago and just asked him to do this, and
Right? Yeah. I mean, we're all human, and it's, we're all pretty cool. I'd like to think so. There's a few bad apples out there, but
yeah,
I don't think you're aspiring to interview the bad apples, right?
no, 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 I
Yeah.
don't think I
Yeah,
am.
weed out the bad people.
All right. Here's one just about the waves that you do because I know whenever you get a wave, you do it in usually like 6 parts, at least from what I've seen. Do you think there's gonna be any ones that maybe end up being longer than that or shorter than that? Just like
So yeah, for a future wave. So if there is theoretically a wave four, we had wave three this past summer. So a wave four, I would think it would be similar size to the previous two, about 6 to 7 unboxings maybe. The only deviation from kind of the 4 to 5 to 6 unboxing formula uh, would be a Black Friday sale, like we did last year. Where I just compile some of the best stuff that I've been holding back just to release in mass as a big as a hook for a big promotion on the eBay page for Black Friday because this stuff is digital after all, and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, that's going more and more digital. Um, as we go further into time here, so uh, I think that's kind of a cool little promotion that we can do, and I think it's a cool part because those plushies now that I revealed last Black Friday, they're just known as the Black Friday plushies.
Yeah,
And if I have anything else that I'm holding back, maybe we can do a Black Friday sequel. That could just be one big special unboxing. Uh, but as for normal waves, I wouldn't expect too much deviation from what we've done previously.
yeah. All right. I mean, that makes sense. It ain't broke, don't fix it. But I mean, I think yeah, this is my last question, I guess. Damn. So you won't? I'd assume you wouldn't want to do the Black Friday thing where you reveal more stuff this year because you have stuff coming up in December, But
And we'll see how this goes. I'll play it by ear.
yeah,
It's all
anything
about
you
feel.
want to? I guess here I'll ask you this last question, and I'll just give you a moment in case you want to say anything, which is just it's just a personal question. It's just the channel mascot. Uh, do you wanna? It's just
Channel mascot, period, right?
yeah, it's just the
Why
just
is
the
it
mascot.
Slendy?
Yeah, why is
Yeah.
it Slender
So
Man?
it's more of just like a heritage kind of thing. So back when I started the YouTube channel, it was January 3rd, 2018. I think it was the month prior or sometime during 2017 or so. I did this very I don't know. I was quite proud of it. This like sketch of the Slender Man character. Being I'm a 2004 kid,
Yeah,
and so I grew up late 2000s, early 2010s. That was my time. Obviously, that's why I'm an Angry Bird guy. I mean, that was right in my wheelhouse. But part of that era was the beginning of you know uh, reaction videos on YouTube, people doing. Slender Man was huge at that time. You had these people playing the 8 pages, and you had Marble Hornets, and the Victor Surge story, how it got first posted to the creepypasta pages and all that kind of stuff. So Slender Man was a character that I quite liked. I always liked the design. I thought he was quite the charming individual. Uh, so I don't know why. I took a liking to the character. I used to do these little comic series. I used to like doodling and stuff like that while I was in say like fifth grade science or English or math class and stuff like that. While everyone else was doing work, I'd be sitting there doodling with my friends and stuff like that, doing this comic series. And Slenderman was like the main villain. And eventually, it got to the point where I made that drawing and happened to do the YouTube channel the next year, and I needed something to put as the profile picture. I'm like, hey, this picture might be cool. And eventually it just kind of stuck. And, if I change it now, I guess it
yeah,
would be the slender construction hat pig, but there's always going to be a slender element to it because, I mean, that's what it was in the beginning. That's what it's always kind of been. It had one revision. I forget when I first changed it to the updated version, but I went away from that old drawing that I did back then and, brought in this new kind of vectorized artwork that is super cool as well.
yeah. I mean, I do art for whoever shows up on the interviews, and so there's a specific image of render of your character up right now, and I was just like, and I went to do it, and I was just like, yeah, this is just Slender Man. Like,
Like, why isn't it an
us,
Angry Bird or I guess at
where's
this point,
Nerdy
whenever
Bird?
I show my
Come on.
face, yeah, when I show my face in a video, I have this headband that I wear, which can kind of be seen as iconic at some point. But
Yeah,
why isn't it any of that? I don't know. You'd have to ask me 6 years ago why I decided that Slenderman would be it. Frankly, partly because I don't think I had Angry Birds in mind when I first created the channel. I'm not even sure what I had in mind with the YouTube channel when I first made it, but eventually I got the idea, hey, why don't I post an Angry Bird plush collection video? So there was this plush collection video I posted in 2018. And then eventually there was this other YouTuber who, frankly, was my inspiration, the Star Shines Noah. They did these Angry Bird documentary style videos about the plushies, like I do now. And frankly, they were way better than whatever I was doing back then. My videos were complete shit. uh, their videos were so well done, and frankly, they were the coolest things. Now, no one knew Jack Diddley squat about the Commonwealth plushies at the time. Everything was a mystery. That was such a cool time to be a part of this community. It was at the beginning of this modern age of the plush collecting community, where we were all naive. Everyone was out for themselves. Nowadays, we're a lot more kind of like a family in some ways. Where we're all we all share what we have with each other to some extent, and we're all
Yeah.
trying to find out information. But of course, you got me, who was at the epicenter of it all, the guy holding all the secrets. Um, I try and, you know, give people information when I can, but I've got a channel to run as well, and I want to keep suspense high. No, it's not going to be as fun if I debut a video and, I all the information is revealed ahead of time, and it's like, oh, well, we already knew that. Where's the surprise here? What's the point of this video? So, but I don't know. That's just some insight into how all that kind of goes down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, genuinely, I don't think people would know. Like maybe even a 17th of what they would know about Commonwealth in the modern era without, stuff that you do on the channel. So,
Yeah, I mean, before I first got into contact with them, it was still, there were tons of items out there that we just didn't have an explanation for. Heck, I mean, some of the things, there's like date codes on the tags and all that kind of stuff, just niche things like that that are really a big help with creating this timeline of events of how these things were released, where they were released, why they were released to some extent, uh, and just finding out all the answers to that. I mean, that was not only finding all of these items that we've reminisced and discussed about for all these years, getting all the answers to these questions that are just like, why is it this? Why is it that? Why is this like that? Why is that like that? Just getting the answers to those questions. That, to me, is probably even more important than finding these items themselves. Just getting an explanation, because there's so many bizarre things that Commonwealth has done. I, I, frankly, some of it they don't even believe. I've talked to them before, like how the winter attire set over in Finland, Estonia, and Hungary, they were released over there without the scarf accessory. That's kind of a part of the original release's design. Why did that happen? They didn't even know. It just kind of happened. So what are you gonna do about it?
someone in the factory just stole all the scarves.
And it's probably a
Just,
cost cutting measure. It costs like 10 less cents to make the toy if you omit the scarf. So
I don't know.
I don't
It's profit, you know what I mean?
know. Uh-huh. Big buck.
Big monies.
All
But
about the buck.
yeah, I mean, I'd say that's all my questions. Being like perfectly candid here, that's it. You
I hope
answered
I answered
everything.
everything.
You did.
Yeah.
I mean, even the
Yeah.
stuff I was expecting you to not be able to answer, you were able to, which I'm honestly super happy about. Um, do you want to maybe give anybody like some hype or anything about this thing you have coming up in December?
Yeah, so in this week leading up to this interview, the week that we're recording here, I have posted two teasers onto my YouTube channel. One of them, they kind of follow this whole tuned vibe. So there's stay tuned and tuned in. This is kind of my first attempt at an ARG,
Oh,
for anyone who's played an alternate reality game with other YouTubers here and there. I've took a little bit of inspiration from that, and I've tried to concoct a any little scavenger hunt that people can participate in to find more information about this video that will be debuting, as people have discovered, on December 11th, 2024. It's going to be, frankly, the coolest video that will ever come out regarding collectible plush. I guarantee it. This no one else has ever made a video about plush toys quite like this thing. The
okay.
video's already done. I'm just sitting on it because I think it's gonna be really cool to debut it on December 11th, because that is the 15th anniversary of the Angry Birds franchise.
Oh.
And we all know that Rovio will do exactly nothing that the fans want for the 15th anniversary. They will do the exact opposite Oh,
They're
what
going
we
to
want.
reveal that Chris Pratt is replacing the voice actor of Red in the third movie.
Frankly, what they might do is they might say the entire main cast of the third movie will be the Hatchlings,
Oh my
and
god.
we'll come out with a new Hatchlings themed game. There'll be a sequel to Angry Birds Journey. We'll get an Angry Birds Pop 3. Just everything that the fans have been clamoring for years for. And those
Absolutely.
Posh
It's all I
Paws,
want in the
Plush,
world.
I mean, they're gonna get a worldwide release. We're gonna see those in stores, not the Mighty Mojo. And
No.
Commonwealth, we're gonna try and contact Rovio. We're gonna tell them, hey, we want the license back, and they're gonna say, yeah, sure, but you guys got to do plush for the movie 3, and there's got to be merch with Snot Nose Leonard and all that kind of stuff. I'm getting on a tangent here. Okay, I've had enough with modern state of Rovio. That's why I stay away from it. I was a Bring Back 2012 guy for probably a year or so there, back 2019, 2020. I'm out now. Sorry, go deal with your cesspool of bickering nonsense on Twitter. Okay, that's not
Uh,
me.
yeah, I
Or
mean,
X.
nostalgia is it's a bitch of a cage, man. It's hard to escape,
Mhm.
especially if you're into a franchise as old as like. It's not even old. It's just if
Yeah,
you're into a franchise that released like around 2010, it's hard to escape that like nostalgia cycle. But once you do, and you just kind of look back on it, just like, eh, I enjoyed what I did, and I can still enjoy it. But the modern day stuff doesn't really affect me. It's just like,
exactly. It is
hey,
what it is, right? What are
yeah,
you gonna do?
you can't. Nothing. You can't do anything. But
Yeah,
you can still enjoy the stuff that you did. Nothing stops you from doing
exactly. That's what I try and do, right? That's I enjoy my plushies. let,
that.
let me let me just enjoy my plush. You can go do your other thing over there. Yeah, all you people can disagree and bicker
Yeah,
on
I
your own
mean,
time. Not me.
I don't even like spectate the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise anymore. But I still buy the plush because I liked what it was.
Yeah,
I still
that's
like the games,
like,
but
yeah. Enjoy what you enjoy,
yeah,
and don't let anything else put you down.
yeah,
Right?
that's what my thing. I try and tell people all the time. It's just it. If you're not harming anyone, there's nothing wrong with whatever you're enjoying. And
Yeah. Yeah.
people
Don't
who
get caught up
will
in the
tell
nonsense.
you otherwise don't have something that they enjoy as much as you, and they strive
Exactly.
for that feeling. Especially in a
Well
plush
said.
community nowadays, there's such a sense of belonging with all the communities that are being made around like specific niches. It's great.
Mm-hmm. No
It's
better example than here at
yeah,
the River Plush community. Super cool.
yeah. I mean that's being completely honest here. I don't say it that often, but that is kind of the point of the channel that I'm doing here. That I've been trying to work on with friends of mine. I'm just trying to encourage people to enjoy the plush that they have and not to feel bad for. I mean, yeah, it's not the most mature medium, but also like it it's what you enjoy, and I want people to be encouraged
Yeah.
to enjoy
But
that
deep
with
down,
other people.
the message is probably the most important message. You know, it's just frankly a message about being happy for who you are, what you enjoy, and don't let anyone else change who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
So
So,
the voice crack again. It's coming back. It's gonna kill me.
first, right at the end, right?
Speaking of, yeah, I think that's about it. If you want any closing messages, anything like that, you can like say an outro, anything you want, and
Well, if
then
you got any
next time.
comments, questions, or complaints, you can leave them in the comment section below.
Yeah. So that'll be it for this interview. Thank you, Max, again for coming on for it. I appreciate your time. I know it's been over an hour now, which is crazy to me. It's like 4 times the size of that last interview I talked to you
And
about.
no, that's how we do things. Oh, yeah.
It is. It's how we do. It's long. It's good. We answered all the questions. Um, maybe if I get enough questions for you, I'll have you on for another one. But you know, uh,
Love to be back.
yeah. I mean, this was fun, man. But to everyone watching, thank you, well, for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Uh, peace.